Hello, and welcome to your first tutorial video series of unprocessed foods. I've put together a collection for you, and I'm starting with my very favorite. I've called it Prescription Chocolate. Now, what I've done here is take recipes, removed the processing, removed the ingredients that aren't so healthy for you, and replaced them with actually healthful ingredients that will give you health benefits. So I can explain the prescription chocolate here by telling you that, we all know that chocolate's really healthy in the research studies, and it's based on high quality chocolate, cocoa, not a lot of sugar. You want your chocolate to be 80% chocolate and not be full of sugar. So I've taken the sugar out of the recipe for you, but don't worry, it still tastes delicious. Let me go through some of the ingredients and show you how easy it can be to make healthful chocolate in about 5 minutes in your own home. So this is as simple as it gets. There are some ingredients you might not have or might not have seen before, such as coconut oil. Coconut oil is a very healthy oil. In fact, I've talked about it in one of my blog posts, and it is antimicrobial, antibacterial. It also is one of the healthiest fats for helping to boost your good cholesterol, your HDL. And we all know that fat is actually an important ingredient in health, in your diet, to help with hormones, to help with immune system function, to help with brain function, and coconut oil is the best quality fat in my recommendation that you can take in. That's why I call this prescription chocolate. I think you need to have a serving of coconut oil every day for your health. And this is a very tasty way, very appropriate way to get to consume that. So coconut oil, if you are looking for it in the grocery store, it's probably in the baking aisle. You're more likely to find it in a specialty, gourmet, or health food store. But if you don't have one near you, sometimes you might find it at a warehouse store like Costco. If that's not available to you, you can also purchase it online. So Amazon, you can buy a small amount, or if you want to purchase a discounted amount in a bulk, you could get it at tropicaltraditions.com. The other main ingredient, no surprise, is cocoa powder. And again, you can buy that in the baking section. You can buy it in bulk if you want to look for a better price. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on bulk suppliers or at a health food store as well. The co-op might be another option. I also added carob powder in this particular recipe because what I've done is completely remove any added sugar. And carob powder is similar to cocoa powder in that it's brownish, it's powdery, it has almost like a malt flavor, but it's much sweeter than cocoa. It gives you another layer of sweetness without the added sugar. So I don't have to worry about how bitter cocoa powder on its own might be when I blend it with a little bit of carob powder. So this ingredient might be a little tougher to find. Definitely health food stores carry it. It was the chocolate alternative many, many years ago because it doesn't contain any caffeine, and it has a natural sweetness, that will help the recipe without adding extra sugar. So if you're wondering how the heck is this going to be a good tasting chocolate without any sugar, the main sweetener that I use is stevia. And stevia comes from a plant, so it's completely natural. You're not going to get any side effects or have to worry about artificial sweeteners. And you don't have to worry about sugar or calories or carbs or glycemic load that comes, blood sugar problems that come from extra sugar in chocolate. So the stevia is a really, really great alternative. And my favorite form of stevia is in a liquid form. Now you could find it flavored. This particular one I'm using is called Sweet Drops, and it comes in a chocolate flavor, but you don't have to buy a chocolate flavor. In fact, most stores carry just the plain, and that works just as well because we've got cocoa in here to make it taste like chocolate. Health food stores carry this readily, but some of the grocery stores are starting to carry this now near the sugar aisle. You might find other sugar alternatives there, and they usually carry a liquid stevia. So be on the lookout for that. Again, if you can't find it nearby, you can always order it online. And I do have an option here to be able to flavor your chocolate. Feel free to use any extract you'd like. If you want to make a mint chocolate or an almond flavored chocolate, you have that option. So I showed that here, but that's only if you want to flavor it. And to make these chocolates, this recipe makes an exact amount to fill an ice cube tray. This will be your chocolate mold. Now, you might have other candy molds at home that you can use, and feel free to do that, but an ice cube tray works perfectly, and it makes completely perfect portion sizes of little mini bars of chocolate. So you've got your own little miniatures here. All right, so that's all you need to get started. Next, here's your ingredient list. You might want to write this down. The stevia is very sweet, so you want to be careful when you're adding it. I have a range of drops. It's completely up to you how sweet you want to make it. So you might want to taste test as you go along, so feel free to do that as you're blending it together to see if it needs a little bit more. But start with less. You might want to start as low as 10 drops just to see if it's something that you are liking the taste of. Now, you don't have to wait if you don't have the stevia or you can't get a hold of it. You can make this recipe using a liquid sweetener like honey or maple syrup or agave, so that's available to you as well. Just know that it is going to boost the sugar, carb, and glycemic load of this chocolate, but it does come out very tasty, and if you're not watching sugar very closely, you could completely use honey or maple syrup in this recipe. The substitution would be 2 tablespoons, and you'll make a very nice chocolate that way. The amounts for cocoa powder is a half a cup. 2 tablespoons of carob powder is all you need for that little blend of sweetness, and then a half a cup of coconut oil. And then you could add a few drops of your flavoring if you want to do that. So it all comes down to the blending. The key part of coconut oil is what you need to understand is that it changes with the temperature, the room temperature. So if your house is very warm, say in the summertime, if it's very warm in the house, your coconut oil might actually be completely liquid, and that's not the best for making this recipe. Especially if you're going to use honey or maple syrup, because they tend to separate. No matter how much you whisk it together, once you pour it in the mold, they tend to separate. So I recommend getting your coconut oil to be about soft, mushy consistency, not completely liquefied. Otherwise, it's very hard to scoop out coconut oil at below 70 degrees or 75 degrees. It's going to be hard as wax. So you do want to soften it, and the best way to soften coconut oil is to put the container in a dish of warm water. Or you can put it in the microwave for a little bit to sort of soften it up, and sort of like ice cream, and it might be a little bit easier to scoop out that way. But that's the best consistency to start to blend this together. If you go a little too far and find that you completely liquefy your coconut oil, all is not lost. You will be able to make this recipe successfully if you're using the stevia, but you might want to let it set up and firm in the refrigerator if you are adding the honey or the maple syrup version of this recipe. So that way you can blend it better. So if it does completely liquefy on you, that's fine. You can go ahead. I just find it easier to blend in this consistency. So as you're blending, you're using the back of a spoon and you're just kind of, just mashing it together. And it only takes about 30 seconds to get to this consistency. And then very soon, once your coconut oil blends with the powder, and at this point you're only adding in the cocoa powder, the carob powder, and the coconut oil. You haven't added your sweetener yet. You're going to get it to a fudgy consistency. And when it gets to this consistency is when you can add your sweetener. So go ahead and start to sprinkle the 10 drops of stevia, blend it together for a minute just to kind of see how it tastes. If you need a few more drops, you can add it at this stage. This is also the stage where you would want to add the honey or the maple syrup, and it combines nicely, it doesn't separate. So this is it. This is pretty much your finished product. After you blend in your sweetener, it's going to look like this in your bowl, and you just start to scoop out tablespoon amounts into your ice cube tray. It's a messy stage, but it's fun. Don't worry about how it looks right now because you can fix it. In fact, when you first scoop it into the ice cube tray, it's not gonna be flat. It's gonna just kind of be very like a stiff dough and kind of be round, ball shaped. So to get it to flatten it like this, you're gonna have to tap your ice cube tray on the table to kind of flatten out the tops and have it settle a little bit. And then it has to cool, but you can speed this along very quickly by throwing it into the refrigerator for about 20 minutes, and it will set up perfectly. So scoop it into your ice cube, about 1 tablespoon per cube, tray or cube hole, and then pop it into the refrigerator about 20 minutes, and it will, because there's so much coconut oil in it, they pop out just like ice cubes. And this is what it looks like. You'll be able to serve it on a nice tray and impress your friends and impress your family, and have on hand chocolate in your own refrigerator. And I have to say the best way to store this chocolate is in the refrigerator. It just keeps it firm, because coconut oil is a tricky oil. It does want to soften up at warmer temperatures. So in the summertime, if you were to leave this out, it would become soft. And it just depends on how warm your house is. If it's about 70 degrees or so, it might be more like a fondant in the middle. It might be that consistency. But in the refrigerator, this will come out pretty crunchy, like a regular chocolate bar. And I find that's really good. And it's completely up to you. You can feel free to adorn these with nuts if you want to mix, throw in some almonds or slivered almonds into the bar, or some shredded coconut. So you can get creative. The sky's the limit as far as what you'd like to add to your chocolate, but you could layer it if you wanted to. You could use a layer of chocolate and then put some peanut butter in the middle and then layer it with chocolate. So this is your base chocolate recipe, and I hope you enjoy. Stay tuned for our follow-up series. I've got more coming up next week. We've got the next video is a 5-minute marinara, and well, stay tuned and enjoy the series, and hopefully you can reply with a comment and let me know how it turned out.